We all dream of big businesses and making everything we put our hands to come to light and give us the best that we want in our lives, right? We all want to succeed in every activity that has to do with business. Life itself is business, right? But definitely in every sphere of business which has to do with products and services, basically, we need strategies and principles. But the truth here is there is something very important, and it's called the most important thing you need to start that business. You might be thinking of strategies, you might be thinking of principles, you might be thinking of finance, you might be thinking of so many things will cross your mind when you want to start a business. How do you know that business? What do you need to know about the business? What do you do with the knowledge you have, and who is the right connection, and who would you have to meet? And all of these are very, very important. But I'm going to open your eyes now more to what is most important, and that will help you to harness every other important factor or element needed for your business. First of all, what is business? We know business is about whether exchanging services, offering services, or exchanging goods for something in return, or other things that even the life we live, living your life, planning activities. All of these are part of business, because in life you are giving and taking. Anything that involves giving and taking is business. Everything that involves living and also affecting others and affecting life, affecting your environment is business. Because as you affect your environment, your environment is affecting you too. So these are very, very important. But I want to look critically at the businesses that we engage in daily, leaving our homes every morning, going somewhere to do some things so that we can make money or earn something, or sitting at home and preparing and doing the things we need to do. First, the business world is controlled by information. But you know this, information is not known or found when the intuitive aspect of human reasoning is not engaged. Which means that if I am going to start and do any business in my life, I must first of all look inwards to my mind. That is the most important asset to doing business. It's like when you want to talk about someone who is going to get married, who wants to get married. First, you ask them whether they are ready. How do you mean by they are ready? They have come to maturity by age, but that's not the only way to determine if they are ready. How ready are they? Have they come to understand the details and get information about marriage, about being together, about relationship, knowing one another, and so many other things, knowing the families and knowing the career, being compatible with the person. These are the things that will determine, and of course, resources to live and having something coming to them, earning something to, harness the relationship. So basically, so many things determine if someone is ready. But the readiness actually begins from the mind. In any kind of business, whether marriage, whether relationship, whether buying and selling, whether services, whether communication, whether interaction, whether social life, whether economic life, whether political life, whatever, what is in your mind? First of all, let me give you the definition of mind. If you go to social media and you want to ask for the kind of ideas that would help you, do better business, what you need first, that's most important, to tell you maybe data, which is about the organization of information, that would help you process, the idea of what you have to make it better and bring it out better for you. But the truth here is the mind is the factor or the fundamental for all of this stuff, whether you talk about data, whether you talk about anything, the mind. Now listen to how I define the mind. The mind is the personality on the throne, in the throne room of life, where issues or life matters are accessed, not as assessed, assessed, ed added to it, of course, to make it assessed, harnessed, and implemented. Now, three basic things makes up the mind. You see, when you walk and go to some place, it doesn't start with you standing up and walking to that place. Your mind has processed the information. I need to go here and do this. Once the mind processes the information, your mind tells you and informs you of the direction to the place where you want to go, right? And then you stand and then you move. Your legs go because your mind has determined to go. Your mind has determined the environment. Your mind has determined the path to take. Your mind has determined what it will take, the resources needed, the energy that is needed. Your mind now comes with that information and the harnessing of that information and propels your feet to rise. If you need to take a cutlass, for instance, let's say you're going to the farm, your mind has already told you that you will need a cutlass to the farm and you will need to do so in the farm. And without that, without the cutlass or the hoe or whatever tool you need at that point in time, you cannot achieve. So you now pick up a cutlass, not because your hand wants to be a cutlass, but because your mind has informed your hand that it has to take a cutlass so that you can utilize it in the farm when you get there, and so that you would be successful in what you're going for. So your legs now say, let's move, because you have picked up the cutlass. Now let's move, and your legs take you there. And when you get there, you quickly engage in the activity. You know why? The mind created the information as accessed. That means it got us access to it, and then it's harnessed it. It's processed the information. What it means to harness is to process, and then when you process, then you implement. That is what the mind does. And as simple as what the mind does, as simple as it is, we discover that that is where the error and the success begins. That is where the error and the success begins. Now let me give you the fundamental of the definition again. I said the mind is the personality. One, it begins with the word personality. On the throne, two, the second word there is throne. Throne room of life. On the throne, in the throne room of life. Remember, there's a throne, then there's a throne room. Now, there's a personality on the throne, in the throne room, where life matters. When you go to a normal king's palace, you discover that the king is sitting on the throne. He has a throne room. It is in the throne room that people come with different information, right? And they come to tell him about the things going on, or what they want to do, or they plan their meetings, they plan the program for the environment, for the people, for everything. They plan everything there. So it's called a throne room. But there's a throne that determines or this makes the decision based on different information coming in, right? That is what the throne room does. So when various people are sitting on in the throne room, the throne and the person who sits on the throne is having the authority to listen, or having the powers to listen, because powers have been conferred on him to take the decision. So everybody comes there, they make their decisions, they discuss, they say so many things, and then they have to give this information to the king, and the king has to make his decision based on the information that have come. So the throne room itself is fundamental, because that is where the ideas come from. So the mind is the personality on the throne. Remember, it is the mind that is sitting on the throne, and also having the throne, the chair, the throne itself, and then having the throne room, where different information from every aspect of life, including outside and inside, are coming to the mind on the throne to make decisions. The mind now takes these decisions, or takes these information, and process them. Harness. He thinks about it. If we take it this way, what do we think? And then he receives feedback. He takes it, okay, what if we do it this way? He receives feedback from either the people or from himself. And so this is not reasonable. No, this is reasonable. Some people say, okay, this is reasonable. This is not reasonable. Oh, king, why not do it this way? Oh, then he thinks of it for himself. He says, okay, why not we also do it this way? And everybody reasons it out. And the king decides this is what we have to do, based on harnessing. That means processing all the information, and then he now implements. As soon as the king gives a go ahead and said this is endorsed, it is automatically as good as implemented. The same way, when your mind takes a decision on a business, to go to the farm, for instance, and it says, I want to farm today and I want to plant watermelon today, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to plant so number of seeds, and I'm going to do so number of ridges, or whatever it's going to be done in the farm. I'll utilize the fertilizer, I'll do all of that. As soon as the mind decides, the hands begin to take the materials, the mind has decided, and then the legs now move, take the body and takes you there. So it is still the mind governing every program, the process. So the mind is the total faculty for the general operations of that particular decision, to take action and to get results. Now, first, you must understand that if you want to do any business, the most important thing you need is your mind. And if your mind must work well, then the information that comes into your mind, or the information that comes into your mind, or come into your mind, depending on how many of them, is key and fundamental, because the mind cannot operate beyond what it is informed about. Now, remember, there are two things that govern what the mind works on. One, intuition, and second, information. Now, your intuition also informs your mind, but information also comes from the external, which are two basic. Now, information has to do with the knowledge, the expertise, the every other thing you need, but intuition. Now, I'm going to be talking about these two in the next broadcast, in the next video, so that you can understand where I'm going, because we must succeed. It's our time to succeed. Every one of us must succeed, and we must begin to think right now. We have prayed enough, especially I'm talking to Christians now, and basically we depend on prayer. Some of them go to sleep in church to succeed, but you must begin to engage your mind. That's why God gave you that mind, and that's why we're doing these teachings. I'm going to talk about the intuition and information. Basically I put the two like that, because information is both within and without, and intuition is from inside, from a source you can never, from mysterium, from the realm that you cannot even tell where it's coming from. But of course, it's from the divine, from God himself. So I'm going to be talking about this, and please click this video again, watch it again to get the information better and understand it. If you have to download it and keep. Then also please like the video and then share on all your social media platforms. And please, as you like and share, also subscribe. Click the subscribe button, because when you subscribe, YouTube would help us to reach. Imagine everybody succeeding. We are all succeeding because we will have less crime and other things. So please take charge and do the right thing. Sorry, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Please click subscribe, share, and like and follow. If you please, I beg you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day as we think about this message and move forward for better things in our lives and collective success. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and God bless you. Very good. You gotta try 'em up.